Hey guys, this is Zach. I am getting ready to take you guys on a little adventure. For the next week, I'll actually be jumping around between two cities. As you can see behind me, we've got beautiful Medellin, Colombia. But I'm actually going to Bogota to go see some old friends and do some exploring, some videoing, and I have some very fun content coming up, and as well as this video. But before I go and jump on a plane, if you're traveling in Colombia, this is a pro tip and you're going to need to know this. You need to bring your US passport anytime that you're going to travel domestically. Now, I know that in the United States, for instance, we're used to having our driver's license, we're used to having, some form of state ID, but here it's all under what they call document control, which means they will ask you for your document numbers when you make a booking, when you show up at a hotel, and unfortunately, if you're like me and have a U.S. passport card, that won't work. Now that does work for like everyday on the street kind of stuff, and I highly recommend that you get one if you don't already have one. It's very easy to get. It's like 20 extra bucks, and you simply just can present it. Like the other day, I got a random passport check, and I was able to give the officer my passport card. But however, if you're going to a hotel or flying domestically within Colombia, you need to have this on you at all times. That said, let's go to the airport. So I'm actually in a taxi right now on my way to the airport with a lot of traffic, but I'm actually here with my first friend that I made in Colombia, Luis. Luis,
yes,
dice hola.
Hello.
Pero if you are going to Rio Negro Airport, I highly recommend arriving probably 2 hours beforehand. We're in traffic right now, so we might be pushing that a little bit. But even especially if you're exiting the country, you want to give yourself the most amount of time possible. Because as you can see, we are at an absolute dead stop. So we're gonna keep our fingers crossed that we make our flight, and we'll hopefully get there soon. So as you guys can see, I'm actually in the airport right now from a horrible angle. But I am checking in. Now, one of the things when you do come to Rio Negro Airport is you'll see behind me, nothing's really set in stone. Your check-ins are going to change every time, but usually domestic departures are close to the domestic gates. And your international airlines like American, United, Avianca, whatever, they're down on the other side of it. So we're going to get on here, but this is a great airport. It's one of my favorites. So keep in mind when you come to the airport that you're going to need to pay for transportation. Now, there's no shortage of taxis that are close to you, but if you don't have cash, you're not going to be able to use them. So Uber is going to run you about 100,000 pesos, which is probably in the neighborhood of, at the time of this, like 25 bucks. I'll get the exact number below. But it costs about 100,000 pesos to get out here. And what I usually do is I talk to people. I'm very sociable, so I usually end up making a friend, and then a lot of the taxis will give you their card. As far as changing cash goes when you get here, I highly recommend just going to an ATM. Even with the change fees, you're going to pay less than you would at like the money services. But if you're hard up for cash, it's kind of easier. So about to get in, go through security, and go from there. Okay, it's my first time in Wingo Airlines, but the only thing I don't like is how their seats don't recline. So far, so good. All right, guys, we made it to Bogota. El Dorado Airport's huge, and I love it. You can see here, I'm team check bag, so I will almost always have a check bag. But it's a really cool airport, and I highly recommend everybody fly through here at least once. So I'm actually in Usaquén, which is a neighborhood here in Bogota. And as you can see, it looks like any other major city, really. A Lots of people walking, going wherever they need to go, doing whatever it is they need to do. This is actually my favorite. Usaquén is an area I highly recommend. It's safe, relatively by Bogota standards, and just a nice spot. And a lot of bars, discotecas, other things to do. It's a really good time and you should check it out. So I'm here in Bogota in the Plaza Bolivar right now and taking a look around. I highly don't recommend coming here at night. I actively discourage it, but in the daytime it's really great. As you can see behind me, we've got some old architectural churches, and behind me actually is the equivalent of the Colombian Congress. So we're gonna explore here. There's a lot of fun things to do, a lot of street vendors, a lot of really cool things. And yeah, we're gonna go check it out. As you can see, it's really popular to feed the pigeons here, but they get out of your way pretty quickly. A lot of fun chasing them around. You got the mountains in the background. The Colombian mountains are kind of different because, at least for me, it's very disorienting. Because if you're like me and depend on the sun to tell whether it's east or west, it's always cloudy here, and the mountains surround the area in the valley. Now tomorrow we're gonna go up there, and I'm really excited for it if I adjust to the altitude correctly. That's another thing about Bogota is it's 8,600 feet above sea level. So if you're like, for me, I'm from Ohio where it's 500 feet above sea level, you're gonna have a hard time breathing. I get out of breath really easy and my legs give out, but it's a really cool place to be, and I highly recommend you come here. Now the area around here can be very sketchy, so always be aware of your surroundings. The Colombians have a saying here, it's called "don't show the papaya." And that means basically don't flash money around. Keep everything in your front pocket. Like, I'm keeping my phone very close to me just in case. But in general, like, the area is relatively safe in the day. You just need to be careful of what you're doing and who you're talking to and who you're dealing with. For the street vendors, just know that you are going to pay the gringo price if you are here. But if not, if you're with a Colombian, they can kind of vouch for you. Your prices will be normal, but you can expect everything to be double. For instance, I smoke occasionally. A pack of cigarettes here costs $2 American, but usually I get charged by street vendors anywhere between 20,000, which is $5, or something along the lines of that. La Casa de Democracia. Okay, so that was the Colombian Congress, but if you look behind me, this is the palace of the president. And so essentially this is where the president lives. It's kind of like our White House in the United States, or I don't know, wherever Justin Trudeau lives. You can see I'm getting red up here, and it's because the sun, you're so much farther up than normal, so you can catch sunburn real quickly. But I highly recommend coming out here, especially during the day. It's really fun, and it's got some cool stuff. And this is obviously the most secure place, as the president lives here. And they don't let a lot of demonstrations. That all happens on the plaza. So I'm actually in the church that's on Plaza Boltero, or not Plaza Boltero, Plaza Bolivar, near the Capitol. I don't know much about it, and unfortunately there's not a lot of English stuff here for me to learn. I'm sure I could Google it, but I haven't. And I'm recording for you, so here we are. But yeah, this place is actually, I mean, it's stunning. So I'm actually in a touristy part of town right now called La Candelaria, and it tends to be, again, dangerous at night, but in the daytime it's really fun with a lot of different markets. And I'm running out of breath because the altitude. But there's a lot of tours here you can catch and other great things. And yeah, we're gonna hopefully show you around a little bit. Now I'm in Parque Usaquén, which is actually pretty close to my hotel, but it's a great place with a lot of restaurant shops, street vendors, whatever. And we're gonna be hanging out with some friends tonight and probably tip a few back. So we'll probably be talking to them a little bit later. Dime qué es la mejor parte de Bogotá.
O sea, Bogotá, por más de que sea caótico, tiene muchas cosas que lo hace único, ¿sí? Entonces,
Sí,
por ejemplo,
claro.
no sé, o sea, hay zonas de que uno va y ve y dice, listo, esto es Bogotá y se siente la cultura de acá.
Y if you wanted to say one thing to gringos that wanted to come to Bogotá, what would you say?
But it's not a good thing. Yeah, it's like I said before.